Hello, everyone. This is Mark Scroff from BCV, a RateGain company. I'm excited to be here today with Francoise from the Louvre Hotel Group. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here for the next hour to talk a bit about what you're seeing and the landscape in the market and some of the experiences you've had. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy getting your perspective. As we go through this, if there are questions, if everyone, you should see a Q&A box within the Zoom window. Please feel free to post any questions there, and I'll keep track of those and see if we can answer as many as we can as we go through this conversation today. But let's get started. Francois, if you want to just start with maybe a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are. I think it's always inspiring to hear these stories.
Hello, Mark, and hello, everybody. I'm very glad to spend, this hour with all of you. Then, personally, I've got a real, marketing background. It's been, now 6 years or even 7 years that I joined Louvre Hotels, and previously I had the chance to work with the major corporations. A very and fantastic experience has been the opening of Disney here in Paris, where I had the chance to organize all the convention department. And after that, Agent Hilton as a business development manager, handling, the development field, going from revenue management to handling sales and marketing issues. And more recently, I was working for a fantastic brand which is called Concorde, but unfortunately that doesn't exist anymore. But that brand used to manage fantastic and very traditional and deluxe assets in Europe and in Paris, for instance, the Hotel de Crillon or the Hotel Lutetia. And I had the chance to be the head of marketing and communication manager. Director, and now I have this opportunity to manage all the marketing and communication activities for Louvre Hotels, which is a very interesting role. And as you know, since 5 years we are part of the Jingzhen group, and working directly with the Chinese has been a fantastic and a real very interesting opportunity for me.
That's amazing. I love that story, and I love how, as you tell it, it just grows and grows and grows through the different experiences you've had. So thank you so much again for taking the time to share a bit about your perspective today. Why don't we jump in, speaking of kind of the landscape, and think a little bit about the market evolution and the landscape out there. So, Louvre Hotel Group is a major player in the global hospitality industry, 1,500 hotels in 54 countries. Which is just incredible, right? So it's such a big, diverse portfolio. How do you see the market evolving today across that portfolio? Why don't we just start with something like that and work from there?
And as we all know, this post-COVID situation is very, hectic. At the time being, most of our hotels are opened. And we maybe have, 8 to 10% of our hotels that are still closed. But we have a fantastic chance is that most of our hotels are in the economic and mid-scale hotel segments. And these two segments have been very resilient to go through the crisis that we are facing right now. Just to give you an example, our economy brand, which is called Premier Class, is currently running at an occupancy rate of 65%, which is quite correct. And during the summer months, our results have been driven mainly by the different domestic markets. And in Europe, many initiatives from the different governments have helped us going through the crisis. And these initiatives were very much encouraging the people to travel within their own countries. And for instance, we have more than 850 hotels in France. Then these initiatives are of a great advantage for us. Then the French market has been very resilient during this spring and summer months. Germany and Poland have worked quite well. Then now we'll see, when we are going to go through more corporate business months, when we are going to enter, the September, October, November period, how the market is going to behave, then it's going to be another story. But until now, we can say that, spring and summer months, thanks to the segments, that are very resilient, these mid-scale and economy segments, we are, not in a very good situation, but let's say that, it's not so bad. What is very interesting to see is also how the Chinese market is behaving, because as you know, thanks to our wedding with Jingjiang, we have been able to implement all of our brands into the Chinese market. And it's very interesting to see, how this market has, really been through the crisis. When we look at our figures, on the Chinese market back in February, our hotels were running at 15% occupancy, back in February, because they were there, really at the middle of the crisis. And in July, all our hotels, as an average, were running at 80% occupancy, and even in August at 90% occupancy. And it's amazing to see, how the Chinese market is really booming again in terms of traffic. Of course, the average rate is not there yet. We can see that in China, the ADR is approximately 25% or 30% less to last year.
Sure.
It's mainly due to the international traffic that is not, there in all the major cities, all the tier 1 cities, such as Shanghai, Shenzhen, Beijing. But it's very promising to see, that the traffic is there. And now, of course, ADR needs to pick up, but at least, very encouraging figures coming from the Chinese market.
No, I love that. And I think, it's something to be really proud of, that accomplishment in this environment across all those different markets. I'm curious, have you seen, and I think you may have mentioned it just a little bit, across these different geographies, any difference? Is it largely domestic travel in each one of those? Are you seeing people moving around at all?
Mainly domestic markets, or really the markets from, proximity. Then in France, of course, we have seen a few German people, a few, Italian people, but mainly really domestic market, and something in Germany, something in Spain.
Sure. So a little bit moving around in Europe, but really it's domestic. Yeah, we're seeing this emergence of these, staycations have been around, but the drivecations, right, where people are getting in a car and going for 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
We all need a break from our home just to get out for a bit. The other side of that, I think there's a recent interview where you had mentioned that 60% of your customers are traveling for professional reasons. Are you seeing more of that? How is the leisure-oriented or short-term versus other sources? How is it affecting your business side?
It's true that in our hotels, our results are really driven by the corporate segments. Then right after the crisis, we've been able, with the sales and marketing team, to put, sales and communication action into practice. And what we've done is that we have really, targeted specific sectors of industry. And we were really in need of hospitality solutions. Let's take an example. For instance, when you take the construction sector, right after the lockdown, they were really, looking for hospitality solutions, to accommodate, the workers. Then we have put really dedicated sales action plans, targeting these specific sectors of economy. And we realized that all these industries were really expecting very precise solutions and very precise answers from the hotels. And then we have put into place very quickly a new platform called Reza Pro. And this platform is a call center with dedicated lines answering, all the questions related to accommodation that the companies could have. For instance, what types of food and beverage solutions are you providing? What type of sanitary protocols did you put into place? Then, even if a lot of this information were, of course, available on our digital platforms, we saw how much important it was for our corporate clients to be reinsured with specific requests that they could have. They needed to be reassured that that these specific hotels were really reopened, and then it was not a reservation platform that we put into place for this Reza Pro approach, but more a customer service that was really there to reinsure, all these corporate accounts. And we have seen that through this approach, we've been able, to secure a lot of interesting business shares, and that these corporate hotels that we have were able to see, at the time of lockdown, really business shares picking up in their hotels. But it's really also our ability to put into place platforms to really, reinsure and putting all the protocols into place to secure our corporate accounts.
Have you seen, I think that's amazing, it's the service side, right? Paying attention, and even like you said, the content's available on your digital channels, but having this extra way of just reaching out and engaging is so important, right? Now more than ever, just being there for each other and helping. Have you seen, one part of the business segment respond better than others? Is it small groups? Is it a different business segment? Are you seeing any kind of traction there? Or?
Definitely different business segments. For sure, we haven't seen any leisure groups arriving in our hotels, over the last few months, but it has been widely compensated by individual tourism over the last, few months, as I explained to you. Of course, no MICE segment, but individual corporate workers that need to do their business anyway. The world is still, going on. The economy is still going on. And we have seen, right after the lockdown, in Europe, that all the small and medium-sized and even, of course, large corporations, they need to do business. Then salesmen need to be on the road. Workers need to be on their construction sites. Then, of course, we as hoteliers, we need to play also a role, and we have a role to play in order to be to ensure that we're going to offer them the appropriate solutions.
Yeah, and I think you and I were talking a bit before we jumped on about the importance it is just to connect in person. How much Zoom is great, and webinars like this allow us to connect here, across the ocean, but having those in-person meetings are just priceless.
Yeah, and it was funny also to see, the boom of direct calls in the hotels right after the lockdown. Clients were calling directly the hotels to book, which is something that, of course, is going down. But we've seen, many of our customers who really needed, this proximity and this instant reaction, instant answers. And we've seen also a big boom in direct calls, to our hotels.
And that's amazing. Just it says a lot for the brand you built, right? That people want to connect and are comfortable doing that. And maybe that's a good segue into our next question here is, I think there's a comment on a YouTube video you were recently on, or attributed to you, where the hotel group participates in providing a concrete response to new consumption habits. So I guess and we've been talking a little bit about it, what are some of these new consumption habits you guys are witnessing or expect to witness from different segments here as we evolve through this COVID journey we're all on together?
And it's true, that all the organizations are facing complex and chaotic challenges at the time being. And we had to conduct, deep analysis of the consumer behavior shifts to really understand, what we could take, the most of our crisis, and to, of course, turn these challenges into future opportunities. Then what we have seen, we can really, classify, these behavior shifts in different categories. I think that the major shift that we have seen is what we could call a new quest, for meaning. Then we have seen a big change in consumption pattern, and our consumers, they want to consume less, but they want to consume better. They put a lot of attention on self-care, on mental and physical well-being. They go back to all the essentials in life. And the consumer are also changing the way they shop. Then looking at that, of course, at Louvre Hotel, we had to respond to that, putting into place, for instance, and as an example, new food and beverage offers. Because of course, the F&B consumption modes are evolving to click and collect services or to delivery options. Then it was things that we never, experienced before, but that we have developed during these last few months. And also looking at this new consumption pattern, we see the importance of the low touch or no touch economy. Then, of course, it reinforce, all the different development that we are doing in that way to enhance the hotel experience digitalization. A second big behavior change that we have noticed also is the new sense of belonging. Then the people, they really want to recreate a collective movement and a collective belonging, enhancing, strong and simple values. Then facing that, and you were just mentioning that before, we have really redesigned our staycation packages, staycation offers, with really emphasizing nice gatherings and offering picnics or barbecue offers or outdoor cinema options to our clients. And it's really new things that we had to face, and we really had to redesign our different marketing packages, looking at these new needs. Another big behavior shift that we have noticed so far is the fact that our people want to go back to, our consumer want to go back to human scale, meaning that they really need to redefine a new landscape. There's a big proportion of what we're calling local activism. And the people, they want to buy local, they want homemade products, then they want to rediscover all the things that are around us. Then, of course, it makes us reinventing the way that we are also promoting the territory around us. Then we are partnering with the local producers. We are developing new local partnerships, and looking at this dimension, we see that the hotels have a perfect chance to recreate what we are calling the third place. Of course, we have the one place which is home, another place which is the work. but the hotels have a fantastic opportunity to really recreate a third place for the consumer, a place where they can come to work, a place where they can come to organize their Zoom video conference, a place where they can, of course, co-work. Then we have a great route in front of us to ensure that the hotels can be a fantastic third place for our consumers.
It sounds like you're seeing the emergence of kind of some new segments in there when you talk about this, the local, the staycation. These are maybe there, but they're emerging as much stronger now than they were ever before.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the way you talked about how you guys have adjusted for them. So when you think about the channel mix that you use to engage with them, right? The different, whether they be digital or traditional channels, how has that shifted? You know, how have you taken, how have the different brands approach each of these different segments as you're thinking about, and of course doing this all on the fly while we're all trying to figure all this out. So how you guys have approached the channel mix for each segment?
It's interesting question. You have a very wide question, but the way we can approach it is that we digital, and when we're speaking about mainly digital marketing, you know, it can be considered as being an isolated vertical, but it's really, you know, when we are mixing all our channels very intimately, that we are really creating a very virtuous combination. Then looking at our direct channels, meaning our websites and our apps, we are currently putting a lot of emphasis on mainly very useful and practical rich content. What does the customer look for when he really visits our websites? Then we are really focusing on creating a very practical rich content, and also a super easy customer journey. But a super easy customer journey on digital doesn't mean that, you know, the human being is not there to facilitate also the customer journey. Let me give you an example. We just launched a new app beginning of this year, when we realized that we have a very high conversion rate. We are nearly reaching, you know, 25% conversion rate in terms of booking on our app. But we want to make sure that at any step of the booking, the customer is really, if he has any question, he can really interact at any moment with someone at our customer service. We have, of course, tested the chatbot, but we realized that during these very difficult times, the customer, they have other questions. Then at any time of the customer journey on our app, the customer can decide to be put into contact with our customer journey if he realizes that at some point he has some pain, maybe in obtaining all the information that he wants. Then really our emphasis has been on practical content and a super easy and painless, really, customer journey, when our customer can interact at any moment with our customer service. What we have also realized is that now and more than ever, we really need to develop a very strong customer knowledge and a very qualified customer referential. Then, of course, it helps us creating and launching targeting SEA campaigns with a good audience, with predefined audience, but it also helps us in improving all our CRM campaigns. And for us, you know, we have realized that all these direct contacts that we have with our clients through our CRM campaigns helps us in increasing the lifetime value of our customers. And today we have seen that through the different campaigns that we have launched recently, we see that the value of the consumers that we are targeting and that we are animating is approximately 20% higher than the value of a consumer that is really left by the side and that we are not animating. Then really enriching our customer database in order to be in permanent and constant contacts with our customer is really crucial during these difficult periods that we are going through.
Sure, and it's such an amazing answer. So much to unpack in what you just said there. Thank you. I think one of the themes I heard come through as you were talking is the human touch throughout it, right? The empathy that's needed. No matter what digital or what processes you have. I love that you said, at any point in the journey, someone can connect and engage with another person, right? And
it's very, it's really the way we are thinking our digital approach, because maybe 10 years ago we thought that digital will do everything, okay, and that the digital miracle. Of course, it's a fantastic business booster, and today we couldn't do without the digital. But digital plus the human touch is really, the key of the success.
Yeah, I mean, we need to connect. We're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
Started touching on conversion. Before we jump into a bit more on conversion, I just want to remind, if anyone has any questions or anything like that, please post them in the Q&A bubble down at the bottom there of the Zoom window. We'll keep an eye on those if there's any questions, and happy to tackle those as we go through this conversation. Thank you in advance for those. Going back to conversion, I'm wondering more specifically, speaking of digital and more specifically within digital, social, how you're seeing social media play a role ensuring the Louvre Hotel Group is enhancing that guest experience throughout this, both to help lifetime value and just the role social plays for you overall.
Social media is so interesting. And as a marketer, we were used to consider that, of course, TV and radio were, the mass advertising channels. Now, we are considering also that social media is a mass advertising, and it really allows us to have a ultra qualified audience. We can do quick A/B tests, and it provides us with very qualified analytics. Then, quite frankly, today we couldn't do any marketing campaign without thinking social media. Then to us, it's really part of our ecosystem. Then when we have first launched our social media strategy at Louvre Hotels, quite frankly, it's quite recent. We really launched a vast social media strategy about 3-4 years ago, which is quite recently. And we really started with a first phase, which we call the awareness phase. Then first of all, we needed to be present as a brand, throughout the different social media platforms. Afterwards, we've been through what we were saying a consideration phase, when we really wanted to be actors with our fans, and when we really wanted to interact with them. And what is very interesting is that now we had entered a third phase, which is what we're calling the conversion phase. And then we are able to display more and more our rates, our promo codes on the different social media platforms, and integrating different content such as audio or podcast content. But now that we are really pushing promotions directly on the social media, makes this channel a very important one in our conversion ecosystem. Then our strategy is not really about really winning followers, but it's really about building a key relationship with our followers, and having really targeting customers in that specific audience. Then we are now allocating significant budget on our different social media platforms, and we all know that now, without media investments in the social media, you're nowhere. Then it's very interesting to see how important this part of our investment is nowadays in our different investments, marketing investments.
You absolutely, and you talk about the evolving landscape here. Do you feel like this COVID environment has accelerated the role of social media specifically within digital, within the full ecosystem?
Yes, definitely. It's as I was saying, the beauty of it is that you can target exactly the audience that you want, and you can have so relevant analytics right after. Is that to touch, and to be present for us. Let me give you examples. If we consider a brand such as Campanile having 850 hotels, for instance, in France, we can use also other levers, to approach our clients. When we are considering a brand such as Golden Tulip, we are present in more than 54, countries in the world with that brand. Then I cannot have, and I don't have the budget to have, massive TV campaigns throughout the world if I want to reach this audience. Then the beauty of the social media is that I can speak to my customers, I can speak to targeted audience that are really my customers of tomorrow's in all these specific countries. Then when we have brands that are really spread out all over the world, advertising on social medias is really magic.
Well, it is. I totally agree, because not only do you get scale, but to your point, you get targeting, right? You can find and actually, it's a good. We have a question here about how interactive are your guests in advising you of their price sensitivity during these times? And as we talk about targeting on social media, are you seeing people respond to different prices and promotions more so? Are they giving feedback more through these social channels?
Yeah, and definitely, also social media can help us in reacting quite quickly, also with our rate strategy, because we are interacting, so quickly with our guests. We very quickly see if a new promotion or a new rate level is going to meet our customer expectations, right, or not. Then it's a very interesting media to use to really test the customers' intentions to buy. And then it's not only a promotion tool, but it's also a tool that it used now to A/B testing, to really, touch the water temperature before also launching more widely a new campaign or a new promotion or a new rate type, for instance.
Absolutely, and I think you mentioned that earlier, the A/B testing, the ability to target within social media, to do quick tests and you said it, you get the results, almost immediately.
Immediately,
Uh,
exactly.
Versus, imagine 10 years ago, focus groups and flying around and doing all that. It allows you to react and respond so much more to what consumers are asking.
Yeah.
We have another question
Yep.
around this. Let's see. Did you measure if your average booking rate increased when a client was attended on voice or human touch channel versus digital only? Going back to what you were talking about through the customer journey and when
No,
people
we haven't seen a direct impact, on ADR, but what the direct impact it has is on conversion. Then needless to say that this conversion is made on our direct channels. Then of course afterwards, in terms of margins,
right.
it has a fantastic impact on our bottom line results.
And I imagine that carries through to retention, and starts feeding, because you're building that connection. So it starts also feeding that relationship into your loyalty programs and how those might work, as people, even if they start thinking about traveling more broad.
Yeah. Oh, then loyalty program, it's also we could spend hours and hours speaking and interacting on loyalty programs. Then when we launched our loyalty program, our main goal has been very simple. Our main goal was to enrich our customer base in order to afterwards be able to interact directly with our guests. Then our first goal has been to enrich our customer database. And to do so, we have launched a program that is called Instant Benefit. Why Instant Benefit? Because very often, in the loyalty programs, you need to wait, months and months or years and years before getting, at least a free room or something. Then there's a very easy enrollment for our customers, and our customers are receiving instant perks. Then not only instant reduction, because they can benefit from 5 to 10% instant reduction when booking on our direct channels, but they're also receiving direct perks at hotel levels. And then once again, I come back to the point where digital and human relations are really linked together, because of course then when enrolling to instant benefit program, then the customer can have instant reduction, but when he arrives on site at hotel level, then it's where the hotelier is going to directly interact with the customer. Oh, then you're an instant benefit member, then you are allowed to have a free drink at the bar. You are entitled to this. You are entitled to that. And it also gives a fantastic opportunity to our hoteliers to afterwards, create the link and recreate the conversation with the client. Then it's a very virtuous cycle. Once again, it's not only a digital program, but it starts with a digital connection, but afterwards it's really up to the hotelier to really encourage the member to discover the variety of services, the variety of extra bonuses that the customer is entitled to. Then it's really the beauty of our system. And then the future step will be, of course, to be part of the future alliance, that the future loyalty alliance that Jingjiang is currently building. Jingjiang then has today 140 million members in its loyalty program. As you know, we are also, in our family, we also have, the Radisson Hotels family. Then when you put, Jing plus Radisson plus Louvre Hotels, then we have a massive customer database. Then, the future step of our loyalty instant benefit program will be to be part of this massive Jing alliance. Then it's a great, perspectives that we have ahead of us to still, build this big recognition program.
Well, it's amazing doing it across the different geographies and programs. I want to talk a bit more about your innovation, but first we have another question. Thank you for this. So that relates directly to what we were just talking about. Does your direct digital connectivity with guests, so when you're interacting directly with them, does that change your other distribution channels, or does it make them redundant? Have you seen impacts in the channels that you leverage?
Yes, of course. We all dream to direct the vast majority of our reservations through our own channels. But what we want is that we absolutely want to still have a vast majority of our reservations through the OTAs, because we will never have the power of the OTAs. We will never have, the sales force worldwide that they have. Then, thanks to them, they are bringing us a lot of clients that we couldn't have on our own. But where our instant benefit program, makes the difference is that when our client is at the hotel level, and if we enroll the client, maybe not on our digital journey, but at the hotel level, and our hoteliers, they really have the role to enroll the customers at the hotel level, then this customer who maybe comes first through an OTA, right, then for a second stay or third stay, then they will book direct because our hotelier made correctly the job. They enrolled the client, and then afterwards they will book with us, because very often we underestimate the chance that as hotelier we have compared to other industry. We have the clients with us, we have the clients in front of us during hours and hours, during nights and days, and so many opportunities, to interact with them and to prove them that if you are a part of our program, then you could have access to our kiosk for free, or you could have access to this for free. And then it's really the job afterwards, of the hoteliers also to really promote on the premises our program. And then right. To go back to the question, sorry, to go back to the question. Of course, this program is, of course, encouraging our customers to book on our direct channels, but it also helps the hotelier to convert one client, who may be booked through the OTA, but to convert this customer to our program for future bookings.
I think it's a theme, a couple of themes you've talked about throughout our talk here, which has been so lovely. Thank you. Around not only the human touch, but also the ecosystem, right? It seems like we have a really strong understanding of how each of these different channels, the role they play, and how important they are to building that relationship, building that rapport once you get person on property.
Exactly.
Couple more questions here, and then we can jump to innovation. So the different social media tactics, what do you find is the most efficient in terms of gaining prospective clients? And then follow up, are the tactics similar when trying to attract people to your 2 to 3 hotels versus luxury, 2 to 3 star hotels versus luxury ones? So, gaining prospective clients, are they similar with different channels, and then different across luxury hotels or 2 to 3 star hotels?
Okay, the question is mainly aimed to social media environment?
Yes.
Okay. Then first of all, we do not have the same approach for all the brands. And each of our brand has its specific social media approach. And of course, we are not, targeting, and we're not speaking the same way. We're not promoting the same way on Campanile and on Golden Tulip. Then what is very obvious, when we are launching, a social media strategy, is first of all to start from the brand positioning and how the brand wants to interact with its audience, how the brand wants to talk to its different audience. Then we do have a specific social media approach for each and every brand, depending on its different audience, because of course our customers are different in terms of segment, in terms of geographical origin also. Then it's very important to start any social media strategy from the brand strategy as such, as at the beginning.
I think that's perfect, and I love that's where you start from, right? Knowing the brand, knowing who you are, and how to relate. That could be a good segue for us into, you talked about some of the things you're doing from loyalty programs and some of the innovation you're building into those programs. How are you prioritizing and changing kind of your development roadmap to help, both commercial, marketing function deliver better for your organization? Like, your initiatives around the digital customer journey. Can you talk a bit more about that? I know you started touching on that earlier.
Okay, then we can speak about, innovation and, technology and digital technology and innovation as a big ensemble. Something which is very interesting is that 3 years ago, Jing Zhang has launched a fantastic initiative, which has been the creation of the GIC. The GIC means Global Innovation Center. And the GIC has a leg in Paris and a leg in Shanghai. And through this innovation center, we do have two major goals. One is to develop, test, and launch new brands, because of course there are new behaviors, new needs. Then we always need to think about new brands. Then it's one aspect of this Global Innovation Center. And the second goal of this center is to develop new concepts, enhancing the experience of the customers. Then, for instance, 3 or 2 years ago, we started to think about what a smart hotel could be. Then we have really created a lot of ideation, programs with this Global Innovation Center, with focus groups, in Shanghai, in Paris, and then together we developed, what the smart hotel could be, and we had the chance to open the first one in Shanghai 1 year ago, and now, thanks to the different technologies that we have put into place in that hotel, we can really, play with all these technologies. Then it's a plug and play concept. The smart concept can now be plugged in any brand. And for instance, we are launching a smart hotel even in France, in Lyon, in a few months from now. And also our Chinese friends have taken this new technology for a new brand also that they developed in China. Then it's a plug and play concept. Another concept that we worked on with them is the clean and safe customer experience. Then right after the COVID in China, when the hotels reopen, the Global Innovation Center worked to develop, very clean and safe protocol to reassure the clients. Then for us, it has been a fantastic opportunity, because back in May, when we reopened our hotels, then the work had already been done and tested and rolled out in China. This Global Innovation Center is also testing new food and beverage offers, new gym concepts, and the chance that we have is that with Jingjiang and with all the hotels that they have in China, is that we've got a fantastic playground. Then we test, we learn, and we do customer studies, of course, in China. And when we see that it really it's a winning concept in China, then we start to roll out in the different countries. Then over the last years, we have the chance to launch 2 new brands with the Global Innovation Center in China, and it's very enthusiastic, because with these we see that the investors are really very enthusiastic with these new brands, and it starts to be rolled out also in China. Then it's very positive to see also how Chinese and Europe is interacting and is really benefiting from both experience to build really winning concepts. Then it's and I think that the beauty of the concept is that it's really a worldwide team, and with very experienced people coming from not only the digital world, but coming from different type of environments, and coming from the hotel industry or not. And it's really creating a very positive team to develop all these concepts.
It sounds amazing, and it sounds like something a lot of companies within the hotelier or broader are trying to figure out. I wonder if it sounds like you've made it a priority, at the senior level, at the global level, and it's something that you are investing in. If that has helped lead to its success that you've had. It's
a top priority. This GIC has been launched by the chairman of Jingjiang. It was, his idea, and very quickly, he built, a team of French people, of Chinese people to create this GIC, and we can say that it's a big success right now, because all the different entities of the Jingjiang Galaxy are now going through this GIC. Each time they want to develop something new. Each time they have something that is not working, maybe in their customer journey or in their customer experience, when they want to develop something new, they now go systematically to the Global Innovation Center, explaining the issue, explaining their needs, explaining their customer expectations, and the GIC is developing the appropriate solutions for them.
That's amazing. And then we've talked about, you have different systems and ecosystems in place to do testing, right, and validate ideas very quickly and on a global scale. That's so impressive. Thank you for sharing that. We have a couple more questions I want to make sure we get to before we run out of time, if you're okay with that. Let's see, from Facebook, we have a question here. How are you, we've talked a lot about the customer journey and social media. What about the properties that are still closed? How are you guys approaching those properties from a digital channel, from a communications point of view?
Then, quite frankly, quite easy for us. Why? Because the properties that are still closed are, in general, close to another hotel of our group. Then we have a lot of combo, for instance, a Campanile and a Golden Tulip, or a Premier Class and a Campanile. When the hotels that are still closed are generally one of the combination, meaning that if the Premier Class is closed, then we are promoting on our different platforms that the Campanile right next door is open, and then we are driving the customers to this hotel. Then we are just putting a small pop-in on our different websites, that due to the COVID situation, this hotel is still closed, but we are offering you a panel of other solutions, and we are directing the customers to these different solutions. And these solutions are very close by. It's not an hotel at 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers. It's really, in the proximity.
Yeah, with the network you have, that's amazing to be able to offer that to people, and then they can know what they can expect and rely from you. That's great. Let's see, another question here. Do you see a shift in the share of bookings via social media channels post-COVID versus pre-COVID times? So is social media seeming to convert more now than before?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. The shift that we have seen is that a lot of bookings are, we've seen that there's a shift to our own channels. When I say own channels, it's our own website, own app, and hotel direct. It's what I explained to you before, that our hotel staff are very busy with calls, directly to the properties. But it's really something that we have seen booming. It's maybe that on the third parties, the customers do not have yet the reinsurance that they are really expecting, that they are really looking for. Then today they find on our own solutions the answers that they are looking for. And of course, also when calling the hotels direct, they are finding these different solutions. What is really funny is that clients post-COVID, what they want to know is that, do we offer food and beverage solutions? People, they need to sleep, but more than ever, they also need to eat. Then, because a lot of restaurants are still closed, in the vicinity, then they are really, asking themselves questions about, what are the different food and beverage solutions that you are offering. Then, then they are sure that when going to our channels directly or calling the hotels directly, then they will have, of course, this type of answers on the spot.
Sure. Thank you for that. I know we're coming up on time here. There's a couple more questions, but I thought, we can just close here, respectful of your time and so gracious for everything you've shared. I don't know if there's any final thoughts you want to share on how you see, maybe the landscape changing, or, how we come out of this. If there's any just final thoughts you want to share.
No, I think that, we all need to be very strong, because, the months ahead of us are still going to be very difficult. No doubt about that. Then hospitality, as a group, we need to, we need to be all strong together. We need to be strong, towards our different governments. We need to be strong towards our customers to prove that we are there, we're solid, we're strong, and we need to fight for our industry, and we need to ensure that in all our hotels, we are going to offer excellent service to our customers, to prove them that, when choosing to stay in our hotels, when choosing to book direct on our channels, it's really where they will find the best solutions. Then, but as a field, as a sector, the hospitality sector, we really need to be very strong all together to face the future months, because no doubt that it will still be difficult, but we will win for sure. We need to be very all together.
I love it. And I think congratulations on your success and how well you guys are, staying strong and being there for consumers, and just the human part, the empathy part throughout everything you've talked about and everything the group is doing. is so amazing. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you to you, Mark. Thank you to all the people who were with us today. And I hope that I will have bring some, some light or some answers to you and the people around us. Thank you.
I'm sure everyone leaves inspired like I am. Thank you all for everyone that's joined. Have a good day, a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.